first week of classes, we teach the entire phonetic writing system in Japanese. And Nathan was sitting on the front row.
Actually kind of picked me out of the row and punched me in the gut to illustrate a point as a mnemonic device for learning these characters. But that kind of started the journey.
There was just a natural sort of enthusiasm that you could see in him as a student.
Marty always hit on study abroad.
That fall, he was going on for an academic year program in Japan. And at this time in my life, I considered myself a Christian, but somehow it wasn't working. It was like pushing a cart with square wheels.
And God continued to work over the course of that year of study abroad. I got involved with a local ministry. All of that was really thanks to Marty and his encouraging me to go and study abroad. And so when I was coming back, I was really excited to get back in touch with him and carry on the relationship.
And I had spent the summer in Japan with my summer program that I take every year. And it was on the flight home from Japan, I was really thinking hard that things weren't working. My life wasn't working right.
So when I got back, the relationship picked right back up where it left off, and over the course of that year, we had a number of spiritual conversations along the way. It wasn't ever my intent to try to proselytize or explicitly share the gospel, but it was just part of who I was. The end of that semester, in December, I had applied for and decided to go to DCC.
Coming off the holidays, those days after Christmas were miserable. It was some of the most miserable days of my life. And I wondered if I should just give up on religion, give up on Christianity.
The conference was awesome. But Wednesday we did a faith experience. And the goal of that whole thing was to use social media to reach out to people and try to start spiritual conversations with people you might usually not have those sort of conversations with. And packed up our stuff, and we were walking out to a coffee shop to kind of sit down, and just walking there, I had a negative attitude. I was like, there's nothing going to come out of this. I'm never on Facebook. No one's even looking for me on there.
I just checked the computer that day and saw that he had posted on his status update something about, let's talk about important things. And I sat down and I wrote a long message. I wrote and prayed and wrote and prayed. And by the end of that evening, I said, I got up off my knees and everything had changed. I'd finally asked for grace to accept Jesus Christ fully as my Savior.
I kind of wanted to check my email and check my Facebook to see, if I got anything back. And I had an email from my Japanese professor, and I hadn't, talked to him in a couple days, and I checked it, and I had no idea that God was going to use a simple Facebook status update to impact somebody's life.
There was never a moment when Nathan was trying to overtly teach me. It didn't seem. He lived out his faith in the way that he spoke, the way that he acted, the choices he made, and those were obvious to me. It was that one little status update was the tipping point for me. Now I'm involved with Faculty Commons on campus, so I get together every week with fellow Christian faculty, and I get to do things with the students in Crew.
So now I've graduated, and I'm working as an engineer in Kansas City, and I still find myself looking back on that experience of using social media, and I'm humbled that God could use something as simple as a Facebook status update, even in my unwillingness, to make an impact in somebody's life.